almost all serious liberal thinkers are of the opinion that there is no way of proving hedonism, utilitarianism. So the first principles of liberalism are corrigible. Now what does that mean? If the first principles of liberalism are not fixed, objective, absolute, or true. One more time. Okay. The first principles of liberalism are not fixed, they are not objective, they are not absolute, and they are not true. If the foundations of something is shaky, then that thing itself will be shaky. Therefore, John Stuart Mill, who expanded freedom of expression in his book on liberalism, and others like him, it's not just him, Voltaire and others, many philosophers, freedom of expression, freedom of speech, freedom of this, freedom of that, they all based it on corrigible, baseless foundations. Can you imagine? And the Muslim in the West is compelled to answer the question. What question? On a moral, philosophical basis. Your question has no basis. Prove to me liberalism is true. That's what you should say to him. Why is it that Muslims, they don't believe that drawing a cartoon of their prophet, isn't this a hindrance of freedom of speech? Yes, it is. Prove to me why liberalism is true. That's the answer. Prove to me that liberalism is true. Well, Muslims, if they leave the religion this and that and apostasy and whatever, okay, no problem. Prove to me that liberalism is true. Your question is based on a liberal presupposition. Your presupposition is based on first principles which are corrigible, baseless, or otherwise faulty. Therefore, your question carries no epistemic weight. Don't ask me the question. Let me ask you the question. Prove to me that liberalism is true. From first principles, from the premises. Is it only true because you had a succession of wars by Western European countries that decided to go eastward and westward and spread liberalism by the sword and put liberalism in every crevice of our society? And because white people have decided that it's true, we must believe it's true in some societies? Is it true because even though you had liberals who believed in freedom, they colonized the people going against what they believe in, and they enslaved others in the triangular slave trade for hundreds of years, and it's only true when it benefits the white man? Is that the kind of liberalism you want to bring back? What kind of liberalism is it? What are you talking about? Prove to me that liberalism is true. Simple as that. You know, let me tell you something. Most of the questions, wallahi, that we receive about Muslims having shaky faith, or Muslims on their way out of Islam, or people not coming into Islam because there is some kind of barrier to entry to Islam, is based on a doubt that they have because of a question that was posed, which has a presupposition of a Western Enlightenment philosophy, and liberalism is number one on the list. So if we can show that liberalism is not true, or it cannot be proven to be true, therefore, the doubt is unjustified. You should doubt what you're saying, the question you're asking, doubt that. Don't doubt the answer of the question. The truth is, Muslims have become overly apologetic. Yes, and do that. You're bowing at the knee. You're bowing at the knee. So here, I want you to really think about something. You know, in ancient societies, like for example the ancient Greeks, they had mythology. Mythology is defined in two ways, primary ways in the dictionary. One of the ways of defining mythology is like a story or some kind of tradition, which is not really, it's fictitious, it's not real, but which helps bring forward a kind of moral. Another way of defining mythology is something which is false, something which is not true. So let's put ourselves on a time machine, go back to the ancient Greeks. They believed in gods, different gods, Athena, Zeus, Hercules. You know, you've heard of these gods, yes? You've heard of these gods. And they believed in those gods without real justification. No one proved to them the existence or the worthiness of Athena or Zeus or Hercules. They believed in those gods, no problem, no argument. There is no cosmological argument equivalent for Athena. There isn't. So they believed in those gods, and they believed in those things axiomatically, as it were. They lived a life. It was part of their culture. They were absorbing all of those things. And then, for example, to give you an example, when it came to the introduction of Christianity, if you look at Christianity, and when it was introduced to the Roman Empire, you'll see, I mean, this is all over the historical works, there was now synthesis, the syncretic model. You know, Christianity amalgamated with those old gods of the Greeks. Why? Because it was so deeply entrenched into their psyches and psychologies that they could not separate themselves from these false gods. They couldn't. I want to ask a question. What is the real epistemic difference between an ancient Westerner who believes in Zeus, because his forefathers believed in Zeus, without any evidence, without any reasoning, actual logical deduction, induction, abduction, whatever you want? What is the real difference between that individual and the Westerner who is born into a liberal household, who believes in liberalism axiomatically without any justification? What's the difference? Tell me. Is the only difference that one has a religious connotation and the other one doesn't? Because that is one of the only differences I can seem to think about. In terms of epistemology, very similar. The Western man 3,000 years ago has not changed much from the Western man today. They're very similar individuals. So now the question is, why should we absorb this nonsense, as it were, really? Why should we respond to this nonsense? It's better to show the baselessness of it.